Yeah, you can question why you're right-handed or left-handed, but why right is, I think, more dominant. But I'm not sure if it's just dominant in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere has left domination handwriting. But here's a theory that when say that everything kind of conglomerated or was born around the equator, but that's kind of it would be a hot place to be born. But anyway, say that when discovery kind of hit whatever it was that started, I don't know whether it was Neanderthals or what it was that started taking off and doing whatever. But I think the first guidance system that was developed was the sun. They worked out. They maybe walked toward the sun, and then realized that they was walking backwards when they was if they was just following it. Because when it rises and then sets, they'd just be doubling over their tracks. So I'm guessing that uh, their day was because they'd have to if they was living in a shelter. Maybe they weren't, but later in time, if they was living in a shelter, they'd walk till the sun was above them, which caused them to stop because it was not going anywhere. And then from there, they'd build a shelter and maybe gather food or whatever it was. If they was stopping every night, maybe build up a shelter and gather food and water, and then eat. And then when the sun came up the next day, they was off and walking. There's also that if they was going north, they'd always keep the sun to their right shoulder. And so they'd always, in sort of a subliminal, uh, trying to, keep the sun to their right, they'd be dominant with their right shoulder or their right arm, their right side. It would make them, if there was a northern walking, say they was going to wherever they walked to, you wouldn't get there overnight. It's not like a train. It'd take you years and years, probably hundreds of years, especially in elements and having to hunt for food and that's such. But if you're constantly going north, you wouldn't know it was north. You just have your the sun to it was just a direction change instead of heading toward the sun and then finding the Pacific Ocean and no way to get across yet. Then you would head north, and of course you'd follow you'd follow the water if you do that. But also, if you was in the mid continent, you would have the sun to your right shoulder, which would make you always just kind of subliminally think to your right side, which would make you more right dominant. Now, if you was in the southern hemisphere and you was going south, you was trying to explore south. Say if everything came from the equator and you was trying to explore south, you would keep the sun to your left shoulder, but that would make people in the southern hemisphere, whether they're left-handed or not, I don't know. I don't know if there's more left-handed people in the southern hemisphere than there is in the northern hemisphere. If that's a thing it's just something that's naturally been done. And then there's other people, ambidextrous, is people that maybe stayed in the same place or yeah, maybe so. Was used to being in the same place. So they weren't really dominant anymore. It was just like either or. Now kind of wondering if that was a possibility for dominant a lot of people's tradition, but I mean, does that tradition go back to where it's just naturally favored? You was right. I remember when I was in what was it, first grade, we started writing. No, I was kindergarten. We started writing. It was first grade. I think the teacher was gave us a decision. I think we was writing in kindergarten though, because you had to learn the alphabet in kindergarten. I don't know if we drew it or not though. Anyway, I think I might have been, I don't know, but they said you have to choose a hand. I don't know. I was thinking somebody said, "Oh, you don't want to be left-handed," It was like, but anyway, I just wonder, is there anybody knows that there's left hand dominance in the southern hemisphere compared to the right hand dominance, or is right hand dominance everywhere?